Ho ho ho, may your holly be well and truly ivied, and your balls are seasonally jingly. I bet you can't wait to get your hands on Santa's bulging sack, can you? Then we can get completely wensless lost. Yes, it's that special time of year, where I cobble together a special clip show, so I don't have to make a new one. Festive upcycling, but this year, there's 3. Yes, 3 coming your way on the glorious tube of you. So, pour yourself a flagon of eggnog, have the sick bucket on standby, settle back, and enjoy the wonders of the Drum Fettler celebrity compilations. Hello and welcome to the first of 3 Drum Fettler Christmas Specials. Yes, 3. This year we've got some special celebrity editions for you. A compendium of the celebrity builds and fettles that have happened through the years. We're starting off with one right back from the beginning. Remember the Silver Star concert tom kit? Well, actually, that was a celebrity kit, although I wasn't allowed to say so at the time because the celebrity drummer prefers to remain anonymous, which is fair enough. But suffice it to say, you've heard him play many times in the 60s, 70s and 80s and beyond. He's played on hundreds, possibly even thousands of hit records in the United Kingdom. So, without any further ado, let's go back in time and look at this kit and what became of it and what had to be done to it. We have here the new project, Premier Concert Toms. As you can see, we've got a 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 18 in the very fetching Silver Star finish. These drums are from around 1975 from what I can tell. They are mahogany shells, which means that they're going to be quite a bit warmer sounding than birch shells, which people are used to having with vintage Premier drums. But obviously, because they are single-headed concert toms, they have a greater bark, if you like. What we're going to be doing with these is we're going to be putting a resonant head on each one. It's not an uncommon conversion. I've done quite a few myself. Under normal circumstances, what I would do is I would fit a second set of these 43620 lugs staggered on the resonant side. However, the client doesn't want that. They want the original look of the high tension Premier lug, specifically the 44020 lug. So they will be something like that. Now this does mean that there will be some extra holes to deal with, but we'll talk about that later. So what we'll be doing with the 12 and the 13 is we will be fitting those with the 44020 lugs. The 14, the 15, the 16 and the 18 obviously being deeper leaves a great deal more room for another set of the 43620 lugs to go around the bottom. So that's what we're going to be doing with those. But these, we need to take them apart and think about tidying up the inside of those shells as well, because they're a bit untidy. The toms, I don't know if you can see, are a little bit scabby. This was because back in the day, one of the selling points of the concert toms was you could put them inside each other. Now, this was okay when you had a drum that was fitted with a spade tom holder like this. That's a 70 spade mount, which some of you may remember. Doesn't really add a lot to the profile of the drum, so they could fit inside each other, and it gave you the opportunity to put a little bit of protection around the outside. But as we know and love, Premier have these big 39235 tom mounts on the side, which added, well, another sort of 2.5–3 inches to the diameter of the drum, and also this big hand nut did all sorts of nasties to the inside of the shells. But I think what we'll do is I will deal with the inside of the shells later, because the other thing I've got to look at is there is some damage to the wrap here, and I've got an idea how I'm going to try and sort that out. The first thing to do is look at the positioning of the lugs. So if we measure the shell, we see that from bearing edge to bearing edge is about 200mm, which means on the 12-inch the centre hole falls just above the bottom hole of the original hole for the 43620. Now, we knew we were going to have to do some filler work, so that's okay, because that means if that lug is about there, externally, not only will it cover both the holes, but it will cover, you can see, the print of the 436 lug, and just, yeah, it pretty much covers it completely. So that's a bit of good news. That's the 12-inch. The 13s, just check this is the 13. Yes, it is. Now that is just about 220, 223. So, oh, I've already got a mark on my steel ruler here showing where the hole is. So there's some history there. It's obviously done this job before. So again, it's the same story. It's just a little bit off. So if we, but I'm quite tempted, you know, to use the existing hole, because we are talking a difference of just a few millimeters. That's where the lug would end up. That's too far out, that's going to have to go. I think it's going to have to be new holes. It's going to have to be new holes if we're going to do the job properly. So yeah, I think we're on to a winner here. Tremendous. I think what I'm going to do is drill this, and then we'll look at repairing the external wrap. Still got to think that one through. These are going to be straightforward enough. We're just going to put 436 lugs around the bottom. The 12 and 13 are going to be a little bit more difficult because the client wants 440/20 lugs fitting. They're the full length high tension lugs. The shell's going to need some filler work because the holes that are left here from the 436/20 lugs don't facilitate easy positioning for the new 44/20 lugs. So that means the holes are going to have to be filled and refinished, but the shell needs refinishing anyway because it's a little bit tatty inside, and also the bearing edges need doing. Can't do the filler just yet because I haven't got the right colour, but when that arrives I'll be cracking on with that. So in the meantime, I think I'll get stuck into those bearing edges around the bottom. Hi, I'm back. Right, we can move on with the toms because the filler has arrived. Any particular information to tell me exactly what it is. Now, the bearing edges have been done. I needed to cut bearing edges on the resonance side because when Premier made their concert toms, They use the same mould, same sizes as their regular tongs, which would have a bearing edge on the batter side and a bearing edge on the resonance side. However, because the concert tongs were single-headed, they didn't see it necessary, for obvious reasons, to cut a bearing edge on the open end. So this was just like a flat, unfinished edge that was on the bottom. So I've replicated the bearing edge on the bottom, same as the one on the top. As I said, these are mahogany, and they will give a much warmer tone than birch. They've still got the beech reinforcement rings. So the next job for me is to get the holes filled in the shells. We'll leave those to go off for a few days so they're nice, solid, hard and expanded into place. That's the filler work on the 12 and 13 Silver Star drums finished now. So they're going to go to one side now for a couple of days to dry. Now what's left for me to do is get the hardware cleaned. This is the internal damper from, well, the 12 or the 13, doesn't really matter because they both had exactly the same component. As you can see, it's a bit grubby, a bit dirty. That's going to be a really fiddly clean, they always are, but the results are usually quite good. I think we'll deal with that at a later date. Right, I've got the inserts out of the lugs. These are the swivel nuts, as you can see. They're all pretty grubby, so we need to get those tidied up sooner rather than later. I'm going to be using a brass wire wheel. Use brass because it's softer than steel and won't damage it. That sparkly clean. You could eat your dinner off that if you're a mouse or not very hungry. But oh, yikes! Look at that. I don't know what it is. Actually, I think I better put that down and put some gloves on. The hardware has been removed and cleaned. All these 43620 lugs, they're going to be used on the 14 inch. They're going to be transplanted there because, as you will remember, the 12 and 13, they're going to be getting the 44020 high tension lugs. Now, the filler has gone off very nicely, so that can be sanded back. The 13 is going to be fairly straightforward. Just need to sand them back nice and smooth. A bijou waftet of lacquer to give it a little bit of shine. That's nice. Slight problem. The 12 and 13 Silver Star toms are going to have the 44020 lugs. I was just going to nip over there, pull out the bin of 44020 lugs and use those, but as you can see, there's not very many in there. So I'm going to have to make some phone calls. Well, that's 13 inch done. I have to say I'm really very pleased with the way the inside of the shell has come out. I don't know if you can see that. I've managed to get rid of all the internal scratches and it looks great with just a little waft of lacquer there. So much better than it was. So yes, very well chuffed with that. Right, I can press now with drilling the mount hole for the 44020 lugs, even though I haven't got enough for both the 12 and the 13 yet, but there's enough here for us to finish off this drum, and when the rest arrive then I can get the 12 done. final damper on? I think we should. Right, let's see if we can find some tension rods for him. Now the new heads for the 13 aren't here yet, so what I'll do is I'll just go back into the little store behind me and find something just so we can get the drum completed. Excellent. One down, many more. One down, many more to go. "13's done. Lovely, isn't it? I really do like it when a drum comes together so nicely. It gives me a lovely warm feeling down inside, you know, like sudden loss of bladder control. Anyway, same again now for the 12-inch. Pilot holes drilled. I'll just make those gradually bigger until they're the right size for the lugs. The 12 is now drilled, ready for the lugs, but they're not here yet, so that's something for next time. I've had a go at repairing the wrap with not a great deal of success. This is definitely the worst of the two so far, with more worn bits on it, so I'll have to think about that. Just going to put some lacquer on the inside now to smarten it up, and then it's lugs when I get them. Yeah, that's looking rather smart now. And so we come to the 14-inch. Going to strip it down, drill the holes for the second row of 43620 lugs, put a bearing edge on it, clean up the inside. There's 14 done. Isn't that pretty? I do love the arrangement like this, with 2 rows of 436. The inside of the shell has come up really nicely as well. Another one which I'm very pleased with. So that's great. I just need to find some hoops now. Now I've got one, obviously, because it came with a hoop. So I'm not convinced that I've got another, but I can sort it out. I can find one. Someone will have one, hopefully. 15-inch next. Made some progress with the 15-inch Silver Star concert tom. Drilled the holes for the resonant side lugs, cut the bearing edge, on the resonance side, so I'll just carry on attaching the lugs. Okay, 15's done, and like the others, it's looking rather lovely. You can see inside the shell that's come absolutely beautifully. Right, so now just need to get a internal damper for it. That one's a bit scabby, so I need to get that cleaned up. Yes, well, I think that's it. That one for now. Well, there she is, 15 now, with all the hoops and rods in place, just some temporary heads so we can make sure it all tunes up and plays. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, Silver Star kit. The 12 is done, just waiting for some more 4420 lugs. Then the 13 is done, that's finished. The 14 is done, just need some hoops for that. The 15, that is done. Now it's the 16. And the 18. I'll crack on with those, and when they're done you can take a look. I've just been prepping the 16-inch shell, cleaning up the inside and cutting the bearing edge on what will be the resonance side, and just giving it a general check over, and I've noticed something which I'm going to have to deal with. It's a little bit of separation on the bearing edge. I need to get that glued so it doesn't spread and get worse before we can proceed. Right, so that's the 16 split all clamped up. I'll put that to one side for a day or two and wait until it's dried off, and we can carry on. This is interesting. Whilst I've been having a cheeky bovril and a biscuit before getting stuck into the 18-inch Silver Star concert tom, I was perusing the very lovely Premier Dealer Handbook here, and I was reminded of something. I know what you're thinking. Tell us, what is this revelation, Mike?
What's the revelation, Mike?
I'll tell you then. Remember that I was going to put 440/20 lugs on the 13, which I have done, and on the 12-inch. I realised that the 12-inch actually had these lugs, the 220, and you can see they are quite a bit shorter. Now, what difference does that make, I hear you ask?
What difference does that make, you dribbling buffoon?
Well, for this job it makes a significant difference because I'm going to be putting the right lugs on the 12-inch, and also I have these in stock, so the hunt for the 440/20 lugs can now end because I don't actually need them. Well, not for this job anyway. It always helps be prepared and equipped with all the facts, doesn't it? Et voila, the 12-inch is done. Lovely. Put it over here. The rest of the family. How nice is that? The 18 is done. It's finished. It's beautiful, it's big, it's brash, it's bold. We love it. It's looking and sounding great, just like the rest of the kit. Go and have a look at that 16, see how the repair's getting on. Okay, that split has repaired really nicely. You remember the delamination in the bearing edge in the 16-inch? That has healed up nicely. Excellent. So now I can get some lugs fitted, and then that's the 16 done. The finish line is within sight. It is tantalisingly close. Nearly finished the Silver Star concert tom conversion project. 16-inch, we have the lugs ready to go, we have everything ready to go, but I'm just waiting for a hoop to arrive, some washers, so we've stalled. So we're that close to actually setting them up and playing them, and that's going to happen very soon. Postman's been, and I've got what I think is the 16-inch hoop for the 16-inch Silver Star tom. So, and I've got the washers as well here, so I can press on with that and get the 16 finished. And I think that's it. They'll all be done. Well, that's the 16 done inside. Once again, bit of love and attention, and a waft of lacquer has brought up the mahogany. Just beautiful, really good, and the beech looks fabulous as well. Really, really nice. Okay, so let's get some heads on this. Right, the 16 is done. I'll put some temporary heads on. As soon as the new heads come, all the drums on the Silver Star kit will get new heads, and then you know what that means. Well, at last, they're here. Got there in the end, and don't they look fab? I thought a little alfresco filming in real light would do them justice, and haven't got enough clear space inside to set them up. Apologies for the hodgepodge of heads, but the new heads still haven't arrived, and I just couldn't wait any longer. Whilst the interior of the shells have been returned to their former glory, the Silver Star wrap was a different story. Despite trying a number of different methods to deal with the scratches and marks, I couldn't find one that would do these beauties justice. So if you happen to know how to make this finish look new again and repair damage, please let me know. Preservation, conservation, as well as conversion were the bywords for this job. A set of unloved concert toms languishing in storage have been TLC'd back into action. Apart from the shell repairs inside and the fitting of new high tension lugs to the 12-inch and 13-inch, plus the addition of lugs on the resonance side of the larger drums, the resonance side bearing edges needed forming from the flat and badly damaged open ends. There is talk of the bass drum checking into Blenheim Drums Rehab Clinic, but that's another story for another time. Well, there you go. Wasn't that nice going back and reliving that particular success story? Great kit, great story, great history. Join me again soon for the second of the special Celebrity Compendium Drum Fettler Christmas Specials. See you then.